Hey boys and girls, we are on lesson 13-3, interpret numerical expressions. You need your workbook, a pencil, scratch paper. Multiplication chart is always good to have next to you. Here's our learning goal. Make sure you read it along with me. I can interpret numerical expressions. Alrighty, here's our solve and share. We are on page 545, so make sure you have your workbook out and open. I'm going to recalibrate my board here in a second. Maybe. There we go. And then we will read through our solve and share. Okay. Mrs. Katz is planning her family's trip to the museum. She made a list of the expenses, and then she wrote the following expression to show how she can calculate the total cost. How many people do you think there are in the family? How can you tell? So I want you to read through. So we've got our museum trip expenses per person. Round trip bus fare, $4.20. Buffet lunch is $8. Entrance fee is $12. The dinosaur lecture is $3.50. So that's all per person. So that would all together, that would be one person. And so I want you to look at that expression and see how many people you think are there total. Alrighty, well, you can see if you want to help make sense of the numbers. Our bus fare is here. Buffet lunch for one is $8. Entrance fee is $12. And then our dinosaur lecture is $3.50. So if this is all per person, that's for one person, they are multiplying it by 6. So we could say 6 people, B/C, because the expenses are per person. Those are multiplied by 6. Okay, make sure that you have that down on there. We don't need to find how much money they're going to spend. We're not doing the operation on that right now, but just making sure that we can read through an equation or an expression and understand what it means. Okay, pause the video here if you need to write it down. And then let's move on to our question. Okay, how can we interpret numerical expressions without evaluating them? So here's our problem. Jimmy's clown costume requires 7/8 plus 1/2 plus 1 3/4 yards of fabric. His dad's matching clown costume requires 3 times 7/8 plus 1/2 plus 1 3/4 yards. How does the amount of fabric needed for the dad costume compare to the amount needed for Jimmy's costume? So what you're going to want to do here is find what similarities there are between the two equations so that you can figure out what is different about them. So what I am noticing here is they both have the 7/8 plus 1/2 plus 1 3/4. See, all of that is identical. So that's the first thing I'm noticing. And then the second thing I'm noticing is that the dad is 3 times the amount of Jimmy's clown costume. So we can pop down, take a peek, see at what they did. So find the parts of the equation that are the same, and you can see they highlighted them in red. They both contain the sum of 7/8, 1/2, and 1 3/4. And then we're going to find the part that's different. So you can see that Jimmy's dad's costume is 3 times as much as Jimmy's costume. And 3 times as much fabric is what they said there. So it shows that this sum is multiplied by 3. So you can see here, the dad's costume requires 3 times as much fabric as Jimmy's costume, which is what I said there. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a peek, see at one of our do you understands, and then we'll do a couple over on the other side. Okay, so the number of yards of fabric needed for Rob's costume is 7/8 plus 1/2 plus 1 3/4 divided by 2. How does the amount needed for Rob's costume compare to the amount needed for Jimmy's costume? So remember Jimmy's costume, I'm gonna read it again, needed just the 7/8 plus 1/2 plus 1 3/4 is Jimmy's. Yep. And so his is divided by 2. So Rob's costume needs, if we're dividing by 2 or splitting it in half as much, because all of this again is the same. So we could say Rob's costume needs half as much fabric. Whoa. I don't know what I was doing there. Fabric. Okay. So without doing any calculations, we're going to describe how expression A compares to expression B. So I want you to try this on your own. First, identify what is the same, and then identify how one is different than the other. We've got A, which is 8 times 41,516 minus 987. And B is 41,516 minus 987. Go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so what you should have noticed is that we've got our difference equation is the same. So you can see 41,516 minus 978. What is different between these two is this has a times 8. So we could just say expression, I'll come over here. A is 8 times greater than expression B. And there we go. That's how they compare. All right, and 4 and 5, without doing any calculations, right? Greater than, less than, or equal to. Let's do 4 together, and then I'll have you try 5 on your own. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is still find what they have in common, and then find what they have different. We have 7 times 4 3/8 plus 3 1/2. Here we have 22 times 4 3/8 plus 31 1/2. So, or 3 1/2, sorry, misspoke. What's in our parentheses is the same. You see I'm underlining it in red to show those are the same thing. This answer and that answer is going to be the same. So then what we need to compare is our 7 times and 22 times. If I multiply something by 7, multiply that same number again by 22, I know my answer with the 20 times 22 is going to be bigger. This is 22 times. This is 7 times. So it's pretty obvious we're going to have a greater than symbol in there to open up to that 22 times, because I know anything times 22 is going to be bigger than that times 7. Okay, I want you to go ahead and compare, look, find what's in common, find what's different for number 8, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so we've got 8 2/10 plus 7 1/10 plus 5/10. Then we have 7 1/10 plus 5, not 5/10, just 5, plus 8 2/10. So what we have in common here is definitely our underline, right? But if I look at my plus 8 2/10 and plus 8 2/10, that's the same too. It's just in a different order. Are we, oh, is that a division symbol? Yes, it is. It's just a little blurry. So 7 1/10 divided by 5. Sorry, and 7 1 divided by 5. It looks like a plus sign on my board. But anyway, you're still going to do 7 1/10 divided by 5, 7 1/10 divided by 5 with those parentheses first. And then you're just going to add 8 2/10 to it on both sides. So for this one, we actually have an equal amount on both sides. Okay, we will continue to talk about these guys in group.